It's the Shatkin First Down Pregame Show, presented by Dr. Todd Shatkin and the Aesthetic Associates Center, with your hosts, Rich Gaenzler and Dr. Jared Shatkin, and our special guest, Buffalo News Bills beat reporter Jay Skurski. Now, from the Shatkin Sports Network studios in Amherst, here are your hosts, Rich Gaenzler and Jared Shatkin.
Welcome to the Shatkin First Down Buffalo Pregame Show, the bye-week edition. Weird that we're having a bye-week this late in the season, but I guess, guys, we would all agree after that overtime loss to the Eagles comes at a really good time for everybody to kind of take a break, breathe, get away from football, come back and focused. Because this is the time of the year, and especially being 6-6 when the Bills need it desperately. A little bit different format from what we're used to from the show. In the middle segments, we're going to go down to Central Florida and see how some Bills backers there watch the Bills and Eagles. We're also going to talk to Jay Skurski from the Buffalo News, who for years has covered the Bills. And in the final segment, we're going to kind of talk about the teams that are above the Bills and what the Bills need to do to chase them down to get into the playoffs as a wild card or perhaps even more. I mean, Miami, you know, they're the leader in the division, but that doesn't mean they've won it and locked it up. A lot of things can happen. We'll talk about in the final segment. But first, we got to go around the water cooler. All right, so guys, here we go. Jared, Sam, Rich. First team in over 50 years, the Bills. 500 yards of offense, 10 third down conversions, plus in the turnover category, and they lost. Everybody else, there's 40 teams, including the Bills. The other 39 and 0 when they have those kind of stats. So, man.
Is that good?
Yeah, you would think. So let's talk about it. I'm going to start with mistakes, first of all, from the offense. And everyone's talking about the Gabe Davis play, obviously, and saying, you know, you would know best. You're a quarterback. You're a pro quarterback. If there's no safety high on that particular play, technically the receiver in that situation should go post, right, instead of outside?
Kind of depends on the DB's leverage.
Okay.
I think earlier in the game they ran the same play and the DB was outside leverage and Gabe ran a post. This time the other DB switched it. He's inside leverage, so that's why he ran the corner.
Okay. Because we saw, I think Diggs was even talking to Davis after the play, Jared, like, why did you? Why?
Yeah.
Right? I mean.
Yeah, it seemed like even Diggs kind of understood his point. I don't think either of those two really had a wrong play at the end of the game there. You could break it outside, you could break it inside, and there's just a rare miscommunication at a crucial point in the game.
Honestly, I'd like to see Josh just put more air on it because he's that wide open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. Maybe he can turn all the way around and just go get it.
The guy played a great game. I don't think you can put it on either one of them.
No. You know, the couple other ones that people forget early in the game, James Cook drops an absolute touchdown.
Yeah.
Perfect throw, right in his hands. I get it, bad weather, but guys were still making catches. That was perfect. Yeah. And that drive ended in a punt. That's a big difference in this game. Kincaid, later in the game, drops a 20-yard conversion. That became a 3rd and 9 and also ended up in a punt. Guys can't be dropping the footballs, especially when they're on target, especially in that level game and especially in that weather type of game.
Yeah, and we threw the ball 51 times, and it's funny because it's probably 3 or 4 plays that could have changed the entire game. It's the James Cook one, it's Kincaid dropping the ball. It's just a couple where you could still point to, and it's like, Josh, really, what else are you going to do as a quarterback in the league? He played one of the best games I've ever seen out of a Buffalo Bills quarterback, to be honest.
I just don't think there's anyone in the NFL that shoots themselves in the foot like this team does. And it's like it happened our whole lives. It's incredible. The drop touchdown, 2 missed field goals, fighting against the refs. But
third downs were a big problem in that game, right? I mean, they had 22 third downs in that game. If my math serves me right, 18 of them were 3rd and 4 or more. 11 of them were 3rd and 8 or more. You can't have 11 3rd and 8s in a football game and expect to win. And considering they were in position to win, it's mind-blowing to think that they ended up being 13 of 22 in terms of third down conversions. Knowing they had that number of 3rd and 8s and still converted, that just says everything about Josh's performance.
Yeah, if that was one harp I could have on Joe Brady, it was that overtime. We kept going run, pass, and getting 3rd and longs, and I said it's going to come back to bite us eventually. Josh kept bailing us out on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 11 in overtime, and eventually 3rd and 7. I still think we should have scored, but miscommunication. If it was 3rd and 3, I guarantee we probably would have went for it. But instead it's 3rd and 7 because we were running the ball. I felt like a little bit. He was gashing them all game through the air, 51 pass attempts. I just thought little too conservative in overtime.
Yeah, it's too conservative on both sides of the ball, defensively and offensively, and it's exactly right. I mean, we're just waiting for Josh to break 3 tackles and go for 7 yards on 3rd down. I think it was too conservative in that overtime. We're playing for a field goal when, to be honest, the momentum is with Philly. If we get a field goal there, I think everybody in the stadium know that Philly was probably going to go down and score a touchdown.
Yeah, Philly 24 points in the second half after just 7 in the first. And of course, they get the final touchdown in overtime. And what a waste of, honestly, I think everyone would agree, one of Josh Allen's best games as a pro, right?
Yeah, and there's been a couple of those, the 13 seconds against the Chiefs. But it seems like coaching is just coming up a little bit short here. I was pretty optimistic about the Bills, but then if you really look at it from just an outside perspective, when you're looking at close games, you're just rooting for the Bills not to mess it up. And that's just kind of how I felt all year. How are we going to mess this up at the end? So, versus New England, versus Denver. And I think that points right towards the head coach, because I think that he had a lot of mistakes in that game. He's had a lot of mistakes throughout the whole year that are kind of keeping us from getting some wins here.
Then 0-6 in overtime now famously is this team. They just can't close out in the big games late. The 20-second kneel down at the end of the game, everyone's saying, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
You got a timeout. You got Josh Allen, right? And he was lighting it up all game long. What do you give him a chance? At least give him a chance. Officiating obviously is a whole other thing, but we're running behind. And I know everyone's been talking about it all week long. The A.J. Brown fumble, the intentional grounding, go on and on and on. There's a blatant hold. A Slay on Cook in that game.
Back on a punt return.
Yeah, just brutal, sort of one-sided. It seemed like, I think the Bills, if I'm not mistaken, had 11 penalties. It seemed like they had 100 in that game. And some were on, were self-inflicted, but others were just terrible. And on the intentional grounding play, not getting the horse collar call was
Davis is
brutal.
right there.
Yeah, it's just bad misses all the way around. So anyway, we got to move on. Great job. We're going to see you in the end to talk about the rest of the season, because there's still games to play and there's still a season at large for the Bills. So we're going to talk about later in this show. But coming up next, Jay Skurski from the Buffalo News will break it down for us going forward. That's after this in the Shatkin First Down Buffalo pregame show.
Hi, I'm Dr. Todd Shatkin here with Hall of Fame running back Thurman Thomas.
My family and I have been coming to Dr. Shatkin's dental office for years. The office is beautiful and the staff is outstanding.
Thanks, Thurman. It's been an honor for me to take care of you and your family.
For a Hall of Fame smile, go where the pros go. Dr. Todd Shatkin at the Aesthetic Associates Center.
Call today for a free consultation, 839-1700.
It's apple picking time. When was the last time you bit into an apple? With affordable Shatkin mini dental implants, you can. Stabilize your dentures and replace missing teeth in as little as 1 visit. You can be you again, only better. Call the Aesthetic Associates Center today at 716-839-1700 for your free consultation.
All right, first time of the year that we've had our good buddy Jay Skurski on from the Buffalo News. He has been covering the Bills for how many seasons now? Is it 20?
Yeah, not all at the News, but it's close enough to that, yeah.
Yeah, well, you always do a great job, and we certainly respect everything that you have to say when it comes to the Bills, because you're close to them, as close as anybody. So now, Josh is back to himself, and all I can think of is that Brady goes in, and I think he said this a little bit in his sort of introductory presser as the new OC or the interim OC. He said something to the effect of, look, he's Josh Allen. I'm not going to tell him what to do, kind of thing, So, I mean, why wouldn't Brady go in and be like, dude, just go be yourself. Like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You know what you're best at. You know what you're most comfortable at. Do you feel like that's kind of what happened?
Yeah, I think there's some of that for sure. I think that he's playing with a freedom that maybe he wasn't playing with up until that point. I think he was pretty tight, honestly. I think he was tightly wound. And I think the stress of the offense underwhelming, really, not performing as well as we've come to expect it. I think all of that added into it. Now, I do think your point about the coaching and the avoiding, the avoidance of taking the hits is certainly played into this a little bit too. And you are absolutely right. Listen, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm hypocritical in some ways because I did write many times that they had to do better at limiting the amount of punishment that he took, and that it was a situation where the coaching staff, the front office needed to do a better job of getting through to him. What I think happened was they overcorrected, right? And they coached it out of him entirely. And you couldn't do that, right? That we learned quickly that it's too big of a part of what he does. And Josh Allen's in his 6th season, right? He has been around this league long enough that you have to have faith in him that he is going to know when and how to protect himself. It at a certain point, it becomes on him. Entrust him. Let him be the guy who says, okay, I'm going to run. I'm going to make plays with my legs because I'm good at it. And it's huge for our offense. But when I do that, I've got to be smart about it. And that I think is that balance that it has taken them a long time to find. But listen, you've coached it. You've told Josh what to do in those situations. You've told him to slide. You've told him to get out of bounds. Now you need to trust that he's going to do it. And if he doesn't and he takes a big hit, well, I mean, that's the situation. There's not any more that the coaching staff needs to do in my mind. It has to be dependent on the quarterback making the right decision. But that gets to what your second point there, letting him be himself, letting him play with that freedom. And I know it's a small sample size, just 2 games, but he certainly seems like he's done that in some ways here against the Jets and recently against the Eagles. If they can get to 10 wins and get into the playoffs, that will have meant they played really good football down the stretch. And if that happens, I think they're a very dangerous team in the playoffs. But listen, a lot's got to happen to that point. And it starts with Kansas City. If they can go in there and get a win, then I think you're looking and say, hey, can we go 3-1 down the stretch? Yeah, I think that's possible.
So what do you think? What's realistic for you in these last 5 games?
I think 4-1's realistic. I think they can do it. I think they, offensively, obviously it seems like they found something. They scored 32 and 34, I guess it was, against the Philly. They're averaging 33 points a game with Joe Brady. I think that is an impressive number. The schedule, I think if Miami has already clinched and doesn't have anything to play for, that game probably is not as difficult right now on paper as maybe it sounds. New England, you talked about. The Chargers, I don't think are an overly impressive team. That's still, Herbert scares me a little bit in that one. And that means you've got to split, right, against Dallas and Kansas City. Can they split those 2 games? I think they can. They've played Kansas City pretty tough here the last couple of years in the regular season. I agree with you that I don't think Kansas City looks like world beaters right now. That Andy Reid's going to have them up and ready for that game. And obviously it's Patrick Mahomes at his place. It's not an easy game by any stretch, but I don't think it's a game that you would automatically rule the Bills out of. So yeah, I think they can do 4-1, and I think that could get them in. I know that might sound a little optimistic sitting at 6-6, but the bye week is going to give them an opportunity to get healthier. I think it's going to give Joe Brady an opportunity to catch his breath and to really come up with a plan here for the last 5 games. And maybe for Sean McDermott, it's going to give him an opportunity to say, what are we doing wrong defensively? Listen, 3 games this season, they have had a lead given to them by the offense in the final 2 minutes of the game, and they haven't been able to close it out. That's New England, that's Denver, that's Philadelphia. If those 3 games alone go differently, this team is at 9-3 and atop the AFC. So they are close, right? And they've just got to figure out a way to close out games. So I know that may be easier said than done, but if they can figure it out over this 5 games, they could do it.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, great to see you as always. I kept you a little bit longer than I said I would, and I apologize for that. But everything you say is great, and keep up your great work covering the Bills. And best of luck to your son Elliot and everything he's doing with the new hoop team. He's the big man. He's going to dominate and pound the glass. At how tall is he now?
Oh man, he's what is he, 58 inches? I still do for his golf club, so he's up to 58 inches. So
right.
he's got about a 3 or 4 inch height advantage on most of the kids in the league, but he wants the ball handle too. So we got to get him. You got to get him aggressive down there, working the glass too.
Hey, listen, Joel Embiid handles the ball, so why the hell not, man?
Exactly.
Good to see you, brother. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, I'm Dr. Todd Shatkin, the clinical director here at the new Shatkin Dental Health Postgraduate Dental Residency Program. For years, I've felt there's been a need to help those patients who just can't afford quality care but want to be treated in a private dental office setting. Shatkin Dental Health will save you 20 to 30% on the procedures you need without compromising the care you deserve.
Call Shatkin Dental Health today at 43 Smile and receive a dental cleaning and x-rays for only $43. And as always, consultations are free.
It means a lot to be able to work with my dad to continue this legacy that we have going on.
I had many implants. Once I got them, it was like the old me came back.
The changes you can make in such a short period of time in somebody's life, have somebody in the chair crying because they finally have a full set of teeth. And I think the only way to do it in that type of time period for that type of price is really the mini implant.
Mini dental implants can change your life too. Call us at 839-1700 for a free consultation.
Okay, so it's the bye week edition of the Shatkin First Down Buffalo pregame show. We decided to give you a little taste of what it's like watching a Bills game from the road, and one of the official Bills backers bars in Central Florida, down in the Clearwater, Dunedin area. It's called Buffalo Charlie's, and joining us now is Rick. He's the owner of Buffalo Charlie's. Rick, great to see you, man. You're all decked out in your Buffalo gear. Looks awesome, buddy.
Great to see you too. I actually had my jersey. I would have put it on, but I was back there cooking, so
it's all good.
I didn't have time to throw it on.
So, Rick, tell me about how Buffalo Charlie's, number one, got the name, and number two, you're from Williamsville. Like, how long have you been in Florida, and at what point did you get the idea of starting off this Bills-themed bar?
Yeah, actually, I've been down in Florida like 25 years. I actually went to law school down here, but grew up in Buffalo, Williamsville, and always missed the food down here. So this restaurant was started by another guy named Charlie, and then it became available. It was something I was looking to do down here, so it was a perfect fit. So I bought it about 7 months ago and kind of made a few upgrades and some changes, but we got the best wings in south of Buffalo anyways.
Tell me about like what kind of crowd you typically get for a Bills game, and how many folks are transplants, how many folks are, you know, visiting from, maybe they're down in Buffalo visiting Florida. Like what's your typical crowd look like?
There's a lot of transplanted Buffalonians down here, so it's a big transplant crowd, but we do often have people that come with people they're visiting that are from Buffalo. It's funny. And then other times, even non-game days, we'll have people that get off planes at the airport and they come here to eat. And I joke with them, I'm like, you just left Buffalo. You really need to get some more Buffalo food. And they're like that fanatical about it. They have to have it. So it's crazy how obsessed Buffalo people are about their food. I mean, I know growing up there, that's the way it is. But yeah, we get a pretty loud, rowdy crowd. And honestly, a lot of Labatt Blue and a lot of Jenny is getting drank here. So
let's talk about the menu.
Absolutely. So we've got our wings. We obviously cook extra crispy. We leave them down longer than anybody else in Florida. We use Frank's Red Hot, and we use the real butter for the other sauces. Well, also the other popular sandwich we have is the beef on whack.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people that do it down here, so we do it right, and that's a lot of our business. We go through a lot of beef in a weekend. So, and then we have pizza logs, which is kind of one of those Buffalo things that everybody likes when they come, and Salem's hot dogs. We do them charbroiled like Ted's does. So we got kind of a little bit of everything. We use Costanza's rolls on our chicken finger subs. We do chicken finger subs as well. So everybody kind of they love that. Costanza's rolls, there's nothing like them. You can't beat them. So
that's right.
So we have the real ones down here.
And you mentioned you got Blue and Blue Light, and you got Jenny products, and
absolutely, yeah, we have Blue Light bottles, and then we've got Labatt Blue on tap. We got Molson Canadian on tap, and then we've got Jenny and Jenny Cream Ale in cans. So we sell a lot of that stuff.
So 7 months into it, as a restaurant owner, you loving it?
It's fun. I mean, it's kind of fun being a Buffalo bar and grill because I meet a lot of people that it kind of brings back childhood memories because everybody's from that area. And I mean, a lot of our people are from that area. Buffalo people are really good people. They're fun people. They really want to see you succeed. So they try to get your name out there. And so it's been great with that.
And lastly, anybody you want to say hello to that might be watching in Buffalo, man?
Just any friends or family that are watching. My best friends, Dave and Gerald, they still live there. Actually, all my best friends, I'm on a text chain with them. They're all still up there. So I've been trying to talk them to come down here and retire down here, but they haven't taken me up on it yet. So
again, awesome. Thanks for being on, man. And
thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
And yeah, it's great. Good luck with everything.
Thanks.
So here's Shannon DeGangi. Tell me a little bit about, and the reason why you're on is because you are the niece of one of our producers, Tim, and he was like, we got to talk to her during the bye week. It was perfect. So you're a big Bills fan. You've lived in Florida a long time, like almost 40 years, but you still come back to Buffalo for Bills games. You did recently. In fact, when you were at your most recent Bills game, you got on an Amazon Prime post-game show.
I made it on the after show because I picked ranch over blue cheese.
Oh, no.
Yes, I did.
Interview's over. No, I'm kidding.
I knew it was an unpopular opinion, and that's why I said you're going to hate me.
We just talked to Rick from Buffalo Charlie's. What a great guy. What the bar behind you looks great. All kinds of Bills memorabilia on the wall and Bills signage. And he went through the menu and for you, like, how do you have your wings done there?
Well, extra crispy,
Sure.
extra saucy. I will say ranch. You'll say blue cheese. This is a nice place. It's everything Buffalo. Everything. There's nothing not Buffalo at Buffalo Charlie. Come on.
Awesome. There's Diggs, there's Allen, lots of Allen.
Say hi.
What's up? Say hello to Buffalo. How's it going, everybody? Go Bills. Bills make me want to shout, and you guys too. It's great to see you down in Central Florida. We hear the shout song in the background. We see the Believe sign in the back. Shannon, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it. Get after it. Get cranking, and let's go Buffalo.
Okay, go Bills.
Great to see you. Thanks for doing this.
Nice to see you.
All right, it's Buffalo Charlie's down in Dunedin, Florida. If you need it, folks, you're making a plan to go down to Central Florida, look up Shannon and go check it out. And we appreciate Rick from Charlie's and Shannon for coming on. Thank you, guys.
Hi, this is Steve Christie. When the Bills needed a clutch kicker, they called me. When I needed a dentist to care for my family, I called the best, Dr. Todd Shatkin from the Aesthetic Associates Center. Dr. Shatkin and his team have provided us with the care that we need. Are you embarrassed to smile because of loose dentures or missing teeth? You can be you again with Shatkin Mini Dental Implants. Call Dr. Todd Shatkin today at 716-839-1700 or go to drtshatkin.com.
My self-esteem wasn't where it should have been because I was really self-conscious about my teeth. When I walked into Shatkin Dental, I was instantly ready for the residency program. I knew that that is what I needed. I needed the discount, I needed the dentist that was gonna fix everything. My self-esteem is already getting much higher just from starting the procedures.
Call Shatkin Dental Health today at 43 Smile for quality dental care you can afford.
All right, welcome back to the Shatkin First Down Buffalo normally pregame show, but not because it's the bye week and there's no game. I mean, you'll be watching games, but not the Bills, obviously. You had a good time for this bye to come after the Eagle loss with Kansas City, Dallas, Chargers, Miami, New England still to come. And I think we are all in agreement, guys, that season is not lost at all. And the Bills arguably are playing their best offensive football of the season right now. So some people might say, oh, they're going to lose all the rhythm because they had the week off in between. I mean, you've played, you know. What is that bye week like ideally, and like can they get back to where they were even though that week separation is in there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Josh is a little banged up after running for 80 yards last game and the O-line and stuff. I think it came at a good time. I mean, it leaves a sour taste in our mouths as fans, but it's a good time to get healthy and know that we have not a lot of room for error and we have to kind of run the table or maybe lose one game the rest of the season.
Big talking point because of what we talked about earlier with the 20-second kneel-down call, the cover zero blitz at the end of the game with Sean McDermott. And a lot of Bills fans, a very significant percentage, were calling for his firing. And if it's not now, at the end of the year, we can't win the big game, 0-6 in overtimes. Where do you guys stand, Jared? I'll start with you.
I stand, if we do miss the playoffs, on finding a new head coach. And I think it needs to come from more of an offensive mindset. It's not because I think Sean McDermott hasn't been a great leader for this team. I think he led us out of a drought in an era where we had no stability at the coaching position. But I've said it a couple times before in the show, I think somebody's message gets stale after a while. And unless this team can pick it up and kind of go on a playoff run, I do think his message has gotten a little stale.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think sometimes it feels like in these big games, it's almost like the moment's too big for him. He's calling these timeouts just to double, triple check things, and I think we should just be letting our players play. And he says they take all the time and effort into coaching them. I think we need to let that happen sometimes. But obviously we'll always be appreciative of where he brought us from, but I think it might be time for a change.
But the interesting thing I think everybody has to think about is where he brought us from, right? I mean, think about it. Brandon Beane is the guy really putting the roster together. McDermott clearly has some input. Yeah. But look, if Tyrod Taylor's still our quarterback, there's no way we are what we were. The reason why the Bills are there is because they're quarterback. Let's all be honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
The quarterback is why. It's a quarterback-driven league, right? Yeah. Look at all the great teams in the league. Are we really saying, fill-in-the-blank coach is a great coach when they have fill-in-the-blank quarterback there? It's the Belichick-Brady thing. I'm really convinced of it now, watching what's happening to us. So as much as we've liked Sean McDermott, we believe in the trust the process and all of that, he was pretty gifted when he became a head coach to have a quarterback like that.
I totally agree. And also, even with a down year like this, as a Bills fan, you still have to be more optimistic than the past because you have a franchise quarterback like this.
That's right.
Which also makes our job a little bit more attractive to better coaches, to people like Bill Belichick's out there, or coaches that are losing their job that maybe just need to relocate somewhere. Buffalo has a talented roster, and we're ready to go.
And by the way, like I think we all agree, the season's not over.
No.
There's significant games to be played and a significant, opportunity to make the playoffs still.
Yeah, I mean...
So don't forget about that.
I mean, I think we all agree that there's going to be a few teams with 10 wins at the end of the season, might be one with 9. So, I mean, I think if we're able to get to 10-7, I think we would make it into the playoffs. But we got to take care of business and not rely on what other people are going to do.
And to me, that's just taking one out of the next 2 games. And I think we could take both. But that's beating either Kansas City or Dallas at home. And if you take care of those 2 games, I think the rest of the schedule, the Bills are the more talented team on the roster than any of those.
Yeah, like we've said, I think the Bills are playing their best offensive football, and they're playing great against good teams. So you look at the Giant game, Tampa Bay, they played down to those teams. The other teams, the Jets' second game, they're playing up to their opponents. That's why I'm really optimistic going into Kansas City after the bye, getting Dallas at home, outdoor, probably bad weather game, something that Dallas is not used to. And look, they're great at home, but they've been proven to be not that great on the road, depending on where they've been playing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a dentist from Williamsville. I'm not an analyst. I'm not coming here from a perspective that I'm totally oblivious to, but I do think we have a chance. And I'm saying that, yes, I probably have a fair bit of bias and optimism towards this team, but I mean, they've played really well recently, and we probably should have won a game against what's probably the best team in the league last week.
All right, guys. Well, great job. Thanks for being here during the bye week. You guys could have been in some, on a tropical island someplace.
Yeah, sure.
And I would have called you and asked how it was.
It would have been too many toothaches.
Right?
I can't leave.
That's right.
Many toothaches around.
Your service to the Western New York community and all those mouths that need to feed themselves. That's right. Thank you, by the way, to Dr. Todd Shatkin, Aesthetic Associates and Shatkin Dental Health, too. Of course, our great crew, Jared and Sam, and of course you for watching. Even during the bye week, the Shatkin pregame. Shatkin First Down, Buffalo pregame show. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the week away from football. I know you'll be watching, especially you fantasy owners. I know I will be. But Bills KC will break that game down next week. Thanks for watching. Go Bills.
In the Pocket is sponsored by Mini Dumpster Rental. Call 716-429-6362. This has been a production of the Shatkin Sports Network.